Hello everyone, welcome back. I believe this is enough for the course that we're taking it. So we have still many more drawing that we have, but if you go through them, but I'll keep this way to be simple. Now in the define, there's something I'll come back to with mass sources. I'll come back to that one later. Now, after this is basically, let's say we did the modeling. So far, we're just modeling the objects that we have it, the elements that we have it, to create the building as it is. So we're only focusing on columns, beams, slabs, their connections still. Here we're not drawing, for example, draw wall, normal walls, window. Those will not be considered in a design for Etabs. Those will be just considered as a load be added to the frame. Now after drawing the modeling, there comes assigning. Now we started from what? Starting from define, draw, then select, assign, analysis, display, design. Goes in this manner. You can follow the list the way they have it. So after draw, still we have more in the draw, but I will leave it. We'll go for selection. Why do we need selection? For assigning. So we already know how to select. We go for assign now. What does assign means here? Now there is a lot of way you can use assign. Now assign is divided into two parts. First part is basically for the elements. Second part is for load. Then you have other things, which is subsections we have at the bottom. The main two parts we have are the elements or the object that we have it and the loads. So there is a load, joint load, frame load, shell load, and tendon loads. And the top is there, joint, frame, shell, link, tendon. We use assign for what? What does assign means? We can assign material to an element. We can assign section to an element. Now I didn't explain in this manner. In the beginning I told you to define the material, to define the section, and assign the material to the section directly. What does that mean? If I go to frame section, if I check, for example, C2560, if I go to modify show properties, there is already a material, for example, the material here. If it is not here, I can select from here to be, let's say, C37. Press OK. This procedure called assigning. I assigned a material to this column. I can go to this column. I can go to show modify property and check to see if the material is there. This is one way to assign. And this is one way, let's keep it simple. This is one way to assign, let's say, material here. While we drew, for example, where we're drawing the things here, we select the property here, yes? This is another assigning option. This is another assigning option. Now, I could have drawn with something else. Let me show you something. Let me go to one of the plan. Let's say I'm going to go to first floor. Let's say I will add a column here. I'll add a column here. Like I don't care about the column. Let's say I make it a round one. I will add one column here. This point here. Sorry. Control Z. Let's say I'm adding one column here. Now, the column is rounded, yes, but not necessarily I have to delete this one to change it. I mean, if I want to change the section, no need to delete it. There's a way that we can assign a section to this one. Even though it's a circle, I can change it. No need to delete it. This is what assign means. So while we're drawing, we select the sections in order not to have any problem. But some people, they will just put the columns first, and normal columns, anything, any sections, later they will change the section. Let's say, can I change this column section? Let me go to 3D, only to select that specific columns here. Let's say I'm only selecting this column, I want to change it. So I add this column here. This is a round column I have it there. It's not supposed to be there, but let's say I add a column there. Now it's a round column, yes. Can I change this section? Yes. Can I change the material? Yes. Whatever I want, I can change. So if I go to assign, look, this is considered as a frame, yes. When I go to frame, there's many things that I can assign. One of them is section property. So I can change the property of this column from round to what? From something I want. Let's say I'm changing to 2520. Apply it, press OK. If I go back to the plan, by the way, there will be some changes. Look, it changed. It was circle, but I changed it to something else. So I can change the sections, no need to delete them. Wherever you draw, no need to delete them. By the way, when you change or apply one section, you'll see the names appearing on the grid line. By default, so the names will appear. There is another way that we can show the labels. You can go to the set display options. I can select the labels if I want to. For example, I need the labels for the frames. I can bring the labels there to see the name of them. For example, if I want to say this is beam, the name of it, for example, H beams, I can see their names, whatever it is. So, in assigning, let's go over them. Joint first. So you get the idea of assigning. I can assign whatever I want. I can assign the joint supports, diaphragm. We'll come back one by one. For the shell, for the frame, I can assign their property. There are some other things that we have it. Look, there are a lot of things that we're not going to go detail of those things. The one that you need to know, for example, property, if you go for section modifier. For the shell, similar, you can do things. So when you draw, later you can modify whatever. You assign, consider as modification. You can assign whatever you want, change whatever you want from the modeling that you have it. The second part we'll be discovering will be the loads, applying the loads to things that we have it. Sure, after modeling, let's say after assigning the things we have it, we can model. Mainly I did assigning while drawing. So most of the things here, we already assigned them. Some of them, we will do it here. So we don't have too much assigning for the top part, because while drawing, we assign most of the things. In the beginning, I started this way, defining sections, everything we did it properly there. So what remained here, now we're gonna go for what? First, assigning the joint at the bottom. So if I go to base, now the connection between the columns and the foundation, which is at the base here, the base joints, for example, those joints here, like the joints at the base, yes, I need to make them what? If those will be a matte foundation. If I have a matte foundation there, those joints will be fixed. If I have a single foundation, I can leave it this way, but it's preferable to be fixed. It's up to the designer, but let's say I'm going to make those are fixed. This is pin connection. If you look at it, this pin connection, there's a pin connection. You'll see it like this. I want to change this one to fixed. Say I want to change the bottom to fixed one. Well, in order to select, I can select those joints at the bottom, yes. How can I select? So I can go to select here, select stories. I can select base, select. At the base, what do I have? Only joints, yes. At the base, I only have joints. Look at them, all the joints, and you see it here, 15 joints selected. Close. This is one way. I could have select something like this. I say all of these things, and then press escape. I could select something like this. Then I can go back to deselect. Deselect the object that I have it. For example, at the bottom I see 13 frames. Whatever the frames will be, the columns I've selected them. I can just simply columns deselect. One shell we have is also the floor. I can deselect that one. It's basically considered with the floor we have it there. Trying to deselect that one. It's not considered even as between the floors here. Brace joint. Let's see. I'm just clicking on that one here, which kind of not allowing me to. I can deselect this one here, so the only one will remain the joints here. Which I prefer the first one, which is selecting here. No, this was frame, but sorry, it's floor, but it didn't deselect by the default things there. So I had to deselect manually there. Well, or I could just simply select the joints at the base. So if I select the joint here, look, in order to assign something, you have to select the things before. As I told you, selection is important for assigning. We'll go to assign. The first thing we have a joint. In the joint, first thing is restraints. Now restraints basically goes for the support. So if I click on restraints, we'll have the type of support we're going to apply. Fixed, pin, roller, none. This is basically none. This is goes for pin, is roller, this is pin, and this is fixed. So if I want to add fixed, I just simply click on the fixed. Look, fixed is active, selection is made, I can press apply. And you realize that this is the way of fix. Fix sign will be something like this. This is a sign for fixed. See the bottoms, all those joints became fixed support. This is first thing that you do for the joint. Now, you can do this one for a specific. Let's say if you have somewhere, let's say here there is a support. This is the building that you have it here will be fixed by this point as well here. What does that mean? Maybe there is another structure here that you're linking this one to that structure. That's considered to be as a fixed as well. You can select them and go and assign fixed support for those as well. Now this is something special. Let's say you have something that is holding that joint there. It's making it to be fixed. It's possible to add it to the levels as well. No problem. So the first thing, let's say we just have it for the bottom. The bottom we made them fix. Then you're not gonna fix those points by remember those are by themselves. Etabs will understand that the connection between they are not fixed, they are semi-fixed basically, partial fixed, because they have movement but kind of also there is moment inside it. So you leave those points the way they are. This is one thing that we do in the joint. Now we're not going to do diaphragm. This diaphragm is different. I'm going to use diaphragm. We're only adding it for the slab. We'll come back to diaphragm later. So the first thing I have it is just for the joint. I'll do this one here. For the frame, I don't have anything. Why? Because I already did the while modeling. I did the section properties. Section modifier will be used for the cracked section analysis if it's requested. I'll leave the rest of the things will be for advanced modeling. Well, for the shell that we have it here, section we already assigned it because while we're drawing we did this one. If you have a wall, while drawing we can do this one. Or openings, you could draw opening even from here rather than to come here assign it. So what do we need from the shell here? Diaphragms. Now for diaphragm, it's basically explaining how this building is going to behave under the lateral load. Remember we said lateral load, when you applied wind, we use diaphragm to be used to transfer the lateral load to the building. So in the next video I'm explaining diaphragm for the shell with an example of what is rigid and semi-rigid diaphragm, and for you to decide which one to use in the building that you have it. Thanks for watching.